Join me, everybody. Ready? Begin. I pledge
I pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
to the
of the
United States
United
of
States
America,
of America,
and
and to the republic
for
for which it stands,
which it stands,
one
nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
with
and
liberty
justice
and
for
justice
all.
for all.
Amen. All right. So normally each week we meet, we network, we do a round robin where we can introduce ourselves. However, we reserved the last Friday of the month for a special deep dive opportunity to share information, to bring guest speakers in to share insights. This week we have a guest speaker, which Christine Dean will introduce to the group. And I'm very excited about listening today and learning something to help advance me and my business ventures.
Well, so good morning, and we are excited to have our speaker today. He's a U.S. Army veteran working with U.S. leadership as an executive coach. He's got a master's degree in finance. So we're all excited to hear about what he has today. Today, he's going to be talking about the 7 areas of, business excellence. And I'm going to pass the floor over to Gordon, and we're just going to go for it.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Gordon Smith. I'm with U.S. Leadership. Like Christine said, I'm an executive coach, and one of the core areas that we are working in is leadership and business excellence. And so I'm looking forward to getting to meet everybody in the group. I know a couple of y'all from other events. So if we could just go around real quick and introduce ourselves and what it is that you do.
Okay, I'm Christine Dean, DFW Networking Diva. I'd love to connect you to who you want to know. I'm Kyle.
My name is Kyle Wentworth. I'm an executive technology management. What's that?
I just muted him. Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm an executive technology management and business consultant executive. We help companies build technology environments and manage those technology environments, and also build their business infrastructure using business process modeling as a starting point.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. Jamie.
Jamie Bonetto, retired military, retired law enforcement. Now I'm doing all lines insurance with a focus on business insurance.
Fantastic. JR.
Good morning, everyone. J.R. Smith, Vice President, co-founder of the Veterans Ranch, where we work with veterans and their families through equine therapy, help everyone get back to a new and improved version of themselves.
Fantastic. Irving.
Yeah, good morning. Irving Chung. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship for the Chamber on the board, as well as a franchise consultant. So what I do is I help people explore business ownership, either as a second income stream or as a primary income stream. So happy to be here this morning.
Fantastic. Lloyd.
Well, good morning, everyone. Lloyd Dobson with Electric Lloyd. I help people save money on the services they use and pay for every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd. Deanna.
Good morning, everyone. Deanna Tweed. I work for a company that helps veterans and their dependents gain meaningful employment without the use of resumes, totally based on skills matching.
Fantastic. Thank you. And good morning, Andrew.
Yes, I'm Andrew White, and I'm with U.S. Leadership, and I get to hang out with Gordon on a regular basis.
Glad to have you here. Thanks for coming. Good morning, Stuart.
I'm Stuart Sachs. I'm an independent talk show host and podcaster, and also a feature writer for At Ease Veterans Magazine.
Thank you, Stuart. And good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Alex Gale, Sampax 5-Star Ford in Carrollton and 5-Star Chevrolet, celebrating, paying observance to Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But bottom line is here to help out with your lot of needs, Navy veteran, 86 to 1990. Thank you.
Good morning, Christy, our president.
Morning, everybody. President of the Chamber, and my personal business is Blue Dragonfly, website design, social media marketing, and graphic design.
And good morning. I think that's Lee, but you have some other things on your screen today. So
Thank you. My name is Lee Scott. I'm a Marine Corps chaplain. I serve as a seniors minister for the branch church, and I work for Dignity Memorial to help you plan your exit strategy. If you don't do it, your kids will, and you don't know where they're going to put you.
thanks, Lee. Christine.
Good morning, Christine Walker with Double Dog Publishing and Addie's Veterans Magazine. We are a national quarterly magazine, 100% written by vets for vets. And I'm also a Navy Corpsman vet.
Thank you, Christine. Good morning, Vikram.
Good morning, Vikram Chauhan, U.S. Army veteran. I'm the CEO of a company called Reword, and we produce multilingual property management software. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. I'm Michael Chavez. I'm the founder of Conspired Goal Setters and a PGI consultant. And I help people transform their lives by showing them how they can go from I can't to I can.
Thank you. Good morning, Ron.
Well, good morning. I see I'm a little dark I was born dark, but anyway, my car I'm driving right now, so it's dark out here. But I'm Ron Jones with Memorial Music. I'm a professional pianist and vocalist, and I own Memorial Music, where I teach piano and voice.
Thank you, Ron. Good morning, Antonio.
We can't hear you.
Oh, we can't hear you, Antonio. Antonio says good morning. Let's see. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning. Hello, I am a guest with you guys this morning. I'm a professional speaker, a business coach. I'm an author, worked for Zig Ziglar for a number of years. So just joining you guys this morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Welcome. Good morning, Crystal.
Hi, good morning. I'm with a nonprofit in Fort Worth. I'm a Navy retiree. We do training and employment services. So that's what we do. Thanks.
Thanks, Crystal. Good morning, Bob.
Morning, Bob Ernst, retired Navy pilot, now a certified financial planner and a certified exit planning advisor with Edward Jones.
And good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Brian Potts, J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling. We do our namesake plus demolition and labor services.
Thank you, Brian. Antonia, do you want to try one more time? And luck is not on your side this morning. Just make sure everybody puts their information in chat so we can reach out and talk to each other. Gordon, you now know who the list of players are. I'll turn it back over to you.
And I'd just first like to start off with, it's such an honor to be able to come and speak with the the DFW Veterans Chamber of Commerce. I know for myself, as I exited the Army, I was wondering what I was going to spend the rest of my life doing. For many of us, there's a lot of retirees in here, people that have put a significant amount of years into the military, and then to find out what do we do after we leave the thing that we love most in life is a very difficult challenge. But as we can see in this group, there's a wide array of services and skills that are being employed throughout the local economy. And so today's discussion is going to be on the 7 key areas of excellence, which can be applied to any business in any industry, and it's not reserved, for one specific type of group. So I'm going to share my screen here so we can have our slideshow up. All right. Okay, so the purpose of this morning, we're going to define business excellence and the components that go along with it. We're also going to be providing a clear understanding of process development and how we implement them. We're also going to be discussing how do we get ourselves and our staff to be able to provide that sustained level of excellence in all areas of our business. So might be a little difficult for y'all to see, but what we believe in at U.S. Leadership is that if results excellence, there's several components that go along with it, but it really starts with the vision of excellence. What is it that your business is doing? What's your purpose? What are your values? And that comes together to really define that vision of excellence. What are the standards that you're going to have within your company? And that vision of excellence then creates the culture of excellence. What are you going to allow to happen in your environment? What are you not going to allow to happen in your environment? And how are we going to be able to interface with every component that is on this wheel? So over the next couple of slides, I'm going to be really focusing on the process excellence, measurement, and information excellence side. That is one of the more critical areas that people are very, that they ask us the most questions about is, oh, well, we need to get our processes right. Okay, but how are we looking at client excellence? How are we treating our clients? How are we building that, and not just a book of business, but strategic relationships within our industry and similar industries to allow us to grow into what we want our business to be. Later in the presentation, I'm going to be focusing a lot on the servant leadership excellence, the people excellence, performance excellence, and I'm going to just touch on here the ministry serving excellence. If you have a business or an organization that is providing, their base service or product to the marketplace, one thing that we have to be considering is how are we a part of our community outside of just providing that service and that product? We need to be taking the opportunities to really support our communities in their true areas of need. An example of that is we at U.S. Leadership back in September went and helped to feed the homeless with the Cornerstone Ministry, and that was a part of our serving event. We're going to have some more serving events coming up here in the future, and it really reminds us that outside of our business, outside of our clients, there's a lot of other lives that we can be touching. So when we really look at, I'm going to jump back up here to the servant leadership excellence. So when we look at servant leadership, that is a great buzzword right now. Everybody says, I'm a servant leader, I'm a servant leader, I'm a servant leader, but what does that actually mean? And I'm going to briefly define it here, and we're going to expand on it later in the presentation. But as we define a servant leader as a leader who pours their life into the lives of others, simply. And we've been doing this for over 40 years. So this is not a buzzword. This is a way of life for U.S. Leadership and our clients that we work with. So as we go through this wheel, what we're seeing is that we need everything in order to really produce our excellent results and sustain those results. So developing and implementing processes is that leadership teams make very difficult to do. Oftentimes when we're getting started, we know the core activity that we're going to be doing. So we've heard a bunch of different industries. So I'm going to pick on Jamie here and just go after insurance. We understand the insurance product, and we understand who needs insurance, which is everybody. But how do we create our sales strategy? How do we create the process for how we do our administrative tasks? And oftentimes that will be very overcomplicated. And so one thing that we strive to show with our clients is to make your processes as understandable as possible. And so some things that I want you all to focus on is, what don't we know about our area of growth that we need to grow into? Are there other companies that have overcome these challenges? Use comparable companies in order to help really define your strategy. If they're succeeding and you're at the $500,000 mark and they're at the $5 million mark, well, they obviously did something to get to that level. And so if you're not as knowledgeable and you don't have a robust technical staff to help support that, one thing that you can use is comparable companies, or you can hire a coaching or consulting service to really help you scale up in those areas. Another thing that we really have to assess is, how effective have our practices been so far? Are we really achieving our results on accident, or are we intentional about them? And we're going to do a deeper dive into each of these. So when we're looking at what we don't know, the core principles of having a successful business reach its intended not only results but impact, we have to look at what our planning is. How defined is our, do we have a strategic plan? Do we have a 3 to 5 year plan figured out with 1 year plans that are supplementing along the way to make that 5 year plan realized? Then do we take those goals, do we integrate them into our weekly plans? And are we doing that across all of our teams? How much are we aligning every stakeholder's participation in the success of our plan with our planning? Task completion. Are we okay? Are we good? Are we great? What metrics are we using to actually drive that conversation about how we're completing tasks? So if you have, say, a bidding process that you're doing, are you meeting the timelines that bids need to be submitted at? Are you consistently, overestimating or underestimating projects? And are you identifying those gaps in how tasks are being completed in order to achieve excellence in that area? Delegation. I really want to spend a little bit of time talking about delegation. Delegation is just not dumping some work on somebody's desk saying, figure it out. Delegation is an art. And so how we'd like to see y'all use delegation as a method of mentorship. So you can actually give some of your junior employees parts of tasks that are going to feed into the completion of a task, and have them be trained up in that in time, so they not only understand the task itself, but the purpose and how it's integrated into other areas of the business. Communication is key. Now, most of us in here are vets, and so dissemination of information is critical to mission success. And so when we look at the flow of information, is it just top down? Is it, oh, well, I gave the direction, I gave the order, and it's going to be executed? Or are we allowing for that flow of information to go from the person that's actually carrying out the task to bring that information back up through the chain and be able to help create a better narrative or operating picture for our business? So going into information flow. Now, I know that seems kind of redundant to talk about communication and then go into flow, but when we discuss information flow, one thing that I want us to really highlight here is that when we pass a message to a receiver, where does it go? What happens? And understanding that information flow within your organization will really remove a lot of redundancies, that we're making better use of our time. We're not wasting as many resources, and we have clarity on everything, on every process that's going on in the business. Now, to say that we're always going to have a crystal clear picture, I would like to think that we could, but inevitably something is going to break down. That communication is going to break down. But if you have an established flow of who communicates with who and how your processes are integrated with your communication and information paths, you can find exactly where that failure is and be able to really assess, is it the person that's causing the issue, or is it the process itself that's causing people to not be able to complete that specific task or process wholly and completely? So how do we capture information? So a lot of businesses love to spend a lot of money on different statistical packages using Excel, and really again, overcomplicating the data process. So where you're at in your business right now, you may not need sophisticated tools. You may not need to be spending $2,000 a month on accounting software or at an advanced CRM that that is soaking up money out of your operating expenses in your bottom line for capital that can be deployed in other areas of the business. So when we look at where we're at, do we have the right tools for the right job for our organization at the current size that we're at? If we're looking at scaling, one thing that we need to be very cognizant of is, do we have the knowledge to manage our finances and accounting appropriately? Managing finance and accounting at 500,000 is very different than managing your finances and your accounting at 5 million or 50 million. And so at certain points along your growth journey, what you're going to see is that you may need either more specialized expertise through hiring a controller, or going out of a spreadsheet into a program like QuickBooks. That's not a very big jump, but the capability that you get out of QuickBooks would allow you to save money, and by not needing as much staffing to really support that Excel spreadsheet that you had before. Now, if you're jumping up into areas, past, 10, 20, 30 million, you're really going to want to have the appropriate accounting services to be able to really support your financial reporting, which you can then use to be able to secure lines of credit. You can attract investment, either public or private if you're looking at going the IPO route. But that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother time. The next thing that we have to really focus on are how effective are our methods of recording success and failures. Now, not a whole lot of folks like to talk about failure, but if we all remember through our military careers, one thing that we did was an AAR. We asked about what happened. Did we actually do that thing that we set out to do? And then we go through our sustains and our improves, and we look at this. We did well. We need to capture those lessons. We need to give ourselves the pat on the back and say, okay, these processes are working. Now we go into the improves. Now, when we're looking at improvements, it's not to, promote self-flagellation and just be downright terrible to yourself, to your employees. Failure is going to happen. You're not going to hit the mark consistently. But what do you do in that failure? We identify what the root cause of the problem was. We put that down in our actions needed after that to be able to move that improve over to the sustained side and watch that growth over time. Now, why do we write down things like AARs? We use those as a method to be able to gather our successes and our failures over time in specific areas to be able to build our lessons learned. Now, when we're looking at scaling, the things that we have to look at is, how do we do the everyday mundane skills, and how well do we do them? Where are we messing up, or where are we messing up with our fundamentals? And so when I talk about fundamentals, I always think back to a story of when I was in basic training, and I had this wonderful drill sergeant. He was helping me out with basic rifle marksmanship. And so he said, Smith, you know what makes the difference between a marksman and a sniper? I was like, not really, drill sergeant, probably a bunch of advanced training, fancy rifles. And he's like, no, I'll show you what sniper school is all about. And he got me down into the prone position with my rifle. And all we did was focus on the fundamentals and charge the weapon with no rounds in it and fire. Now do that 1,000 times. If you focus and master the fundamentals, you're then able to build on that to develop mastery in other areas. And the same is true for business. If we're spending time on our fundamentals and we're mastering those daily disciplines that need to be happening on a consistent basis, we will achieve results excellence over time and consistently. So when we're looking at scaling, we have to look at how much can we repeat these core activities in excellence to be able to jump up at that next level and capture those opportunities. So now do we have an effective method for providing training and continuing education? I know we're all experts in our relative field, and there's nobody that knows more than us, right? Well, that is the mindset of a company that can fail and fail very easily. We never stop learning as leaders or owners of companies. We have to consistently be looking at what the market is doing and understand how the flow of our company is going to meet that new economy. And so you can do that through attending webinars. You can do that through taking extra classes, or even pursuing more advanced education through like an MBA or executive education that you see available at a lot of universities. But staying attuned to what current methodologies are versus what you've always done. What you've always done may have been great 10 years ago, but now with how fast the economy is moving, it may not be, you may not be able to actually compete at the level that you once did. So when we're looking at how do we create effective training programs, there's a lot of cost-effective ways of being able to provide that either internally or bringing in an external company to be able to provide that. So one thing that I want us to talk about a little bit is how do we develop our staff and our leadership team to meet the challenges not only of today, but of tomorrow? And sum the slide up with 2 words: leadership, development. If we are not developing our leaders, we are setting ourselves up for failure. Now, in the earlier slides, I promised that we were going to talk about servant leadership excellence, people excellence, and how that really helps to support the overall growth of our company. And so I want to talk a little bit about how we view leadership development through the U.S. leadership model. And so when you think about leadership development, you automatically think, I have my team, I'm the leader, and I lead. And before I started at U.S. leadership, that's exactly how I thought. The one thing that really caught my attention when I first started was this leadership of self, the concept of how do I lead myself? Is it me, myself, and I we're going hand in hand down the road? What does that actually mean? And then leadership with others. So as the owner of a company, you're still leading with others. You still have your senior level managers that are working with you to create your strategic vision, your operational plans, and making that come together. And leadership of others. You're going to be, leading individual people, and they're going to be on your teams of varying sizes. And so I just wanted to kind of focus on what happens in each one of these segments. So in the leadership of self, we have to prepare ourselves to seize opportunities. We do that through our weekly plan. Now, how you spend your time reflects your values, priority areas of your life. And so when we look at your core values and your priority areas, that really helps to shape what your purpose is. Why are we doing this? How are we doing this? And what are we doing? And so with that purpose statement well defined, what we're able to do then is really base our goals off of what our purpose statement is, what our core values are, and what we're hoping to achieve. And so when we break these goals down, we see these goals go from just being a strategic plan to being executed every week in our weekly plans. Now, when we share our weekly plans, we need to be sharing that not just within our respective, we need to be sharing that within the organization to really create transparency. So when we're looking at leadership with others, we're focusing a lot on problem solving. We're looking at conflict resolution, communication, and delegation. I've already beat up communication and delegation enough, but conflict resolution. When we think about conflict resolution, yes, we're trying to solve a problem. Yes, we're trying to remove, friction within our business, but we're also looking for an opportunity. There is an opportunity, whether you're having a conflict with a client, a prospective client, employees within your organization, there is an opportunity that we can seize. How do we take ourselves outside of that stressful moment and say, where's my opportunity here? What value can I bring right now? Often in times of tension, what we end up seeing is that, oh, now I found out what the real problem is. And if we're able to speak to that and start working on that driving force, we're actually not just going to have a solution, but something that is going to be able to provide us with an opportunity to grow even more. And so now we're going to focus on servant leadership and leadership of others. We're pouring our lives into the lives of others. We are making sure that the knowledge that we have, and the experience that we've collected isn't just staying with us. We're passing that along. So this way, hard lessons don't have to be relearned again. We're not reinventing the wheel every time we go into a process, but we're also allowing the right people to grow into who they were created to be. And oftentimes, we've all seen very talented people, either in our businesses or various organizations, where you're like, you're the rock star here. And they say, oh, no, I'm just a guy or gal in this organization being a good team player. Well, what if we developed that? What if we expanded their view? What if we help them to define their purpose? We may find a completely different person. And that person becomes that next generation leader that's going to be able to support the growth of your business and ultimately the life cycle of your business past you actually running it. So that's one of the great things, that if we're implementing servant leadership correctly within our businesses, we're going to see not only our businesses grow, but we're going to allow it to achieve building a legacy, not only for ourselves and our families, but for our employees, our communities. And empathetic listening, being able to actively listen and genuinely care about what is going on, but not being in it, not being sympathetic. When we're empathetically listening, we're understanding how difficult the situation can be for someone, but we also take a moment to see, what is my ability to affect change and create impact right now for this person. And we can do that in a variety of ways. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more once we get into the discussion of impact. So one thing that I want to bring up to everybody is that all three of these are happening all the time. But where you have to start with is, where am I at today? What am I doing? Do I have a purpose? Do I have a vision? Do I have established goals over the next 5-10 years? And do I have a clear action plan? Am I taking the steps to be able to actually achieve that goal? For me, well, one of my goals is becoming a level 7 leader. So what do I have to do to become a level 7 leader? I have to be competent in the business model. I have to understand what it is that we're coaching. What is our business excellence side looking like? And then where am I falling at in my leadership assessment? And so when I look at my leadership assessment, when I look at everything when I'm looking at everything within my job, I'm developing that roadmap of, okay, over the next 5 years, this is what I'm looking at. This is what I'm going to accomplish. And I take each of those milestones and I break them down either into individual tasks that I can complete right now, or at least a pathway for me to complete those tasks over the next couple of months. That's what really makes a annual list of goals meaningful and useful for you to achieve success, not only for yourself, but for your company. So when we look at all three of these elements really working together with leadership of self, with leadership with others and of others, and we're functioning as a servant leader who, again, is a leader who's investing his or her life into the lives of others, ultimately what we're wanting to develop is impact. But how do we get ourselves to the being that servant leader? We need to make sure that we have a core value system. Now, for U.S. leadership, we focus mostly on biblical principles. Now, regardless of your faith base or your outlook on the universe, you need to have a value system. Now, while most of us here served in the military, we have those core values in each one of the branches of service. So we know that this is true to help really lean on what it is that we're doing in those tough times. We need a strategic vision. We need to know where we're going. Okay, so if I say I'm going to go on vacation and my intent is to go to the Gulf Shores, but I end up in Yuma, Arizona, what happened? The plan went off the rails. I wasn't clear about what I needed to do and where I was going. So you're ultimately at that point just you're liable to end up anywhere. And how are you supposed to achieve the results that you wanted for in your company without clearly defining where it is and what it is you want to do and where you want to go? So great resolve. This has actually resonated with me a lot over my time with U.S. leadership. And when we look at our goals and our plans, how committed are we really to get them done? I'm going to be intentional with my time. But what does it mean? Resolve? That means that I'm leaving no other option. I'm going for this. Now, not to say that our plan isn't going to deviate, because there's things we learn, there's things that we learn along the way, but we're still going to go after that goal. We're also going to be an excellent communicator. Now, that means that we're not just worried about how we speak, but we're also worrying about how we listen. So when we're looking at our listening patterns, am I actually listening to the message that's being conveyed? Is this person feel that I am fully engaged and I'm attentive in the moment? Lifelong learner. Okay, so for me, this is really easy because I'm a huge nerd. So I love reading new books from new ideas and really trying to glean from as many different areas as I can to make me as strong and as effective a leader as I can be. Now, with when we're looking at our specific industry, we need to know who the top names are. We need to know what the emerging trends are and keep learning and have that as a part of our normal operational rhythm. So we also have to make sure that we're consistently using the servant leadership style. Now, when we see servant leader, we also have to be mindful of servant leaders have difficult conversations. They are prepared for that conversation. They are ready to challenge in that conversation if needed. So when we look at it, it's a servant leader influences planting that seed of hope into other people's minds and hearts. We're going to challenge. Sometimes it has to be a direct confrontation, or you have to get their attention in order to move that forward. Now, I'm going to share a conversation that my CEO and I had not too long ago. He said, "Gordon, honestly, sometimes you're so focused, it takes a 2x4 to the face to get you to listen." And okay, that was a challenging conversation. He had to be blunt in that moment because I was going down a different path that wasn't going to take me anywhere. He knew that, and he's like, "Gordon, stop." Oh, okay. Now I get it. And so now when we have sticking points where he's needing to get my attention, I kind of allude to that, oh, hey, maybe I need that 2x4 face. And it's okay. If we look at those challenging moments and we know how to effectively communicate in those times, we can challenge on very sensitive and private issues that we need to discuss to get that person to grow. So when we're looking at equipping and empowering people, giving them the right equipment, the right skill set, and the right knowledge, the right leadership style to follow in order for them to continually produce results. Are we encouraging others to pursue excellence in all areas of their life? Now, when we look at our lives, a lot of us, especially in the veteran community, we're workaholics. And why? Because if we stop moving, what do we have if we're not engaged in our business? What are the priority areas in your life? Are you accurately and effectively engaged in those areas? And that is just one of the ways that we really start going from just living a life passively and being intentional about how we live our life. Are we living our life in to be who we were created to be? Sorry about that. Okay. Ultimately, in our model, we want to become that level 7 leader. We want to become the servant leader reproducer. This is now think of the impact of a servant leader. I'm working with, 5 or 6 people. I'm pouring my life into them, and they're going out and doing wonderful things. Now, as a servant leader reproducer, I have 3 or 4 servant leaders. Now, how many people am I working with? If we're using that 6 and I have 4, that's 4, right? So now the effect that I have, the impact that I'm driving is much greater because now it's exponentially growing. So when we look here, it's just a brief definition of what each one of these levels are and the level of impact that we're going to see at each of these levels. Our levels 1 through 3, these are folks that are going to be focused on just fulfilling their basic needs and maybe a little bit of competence, but they're not going to be committed to anything. They're really not going to be effective team players. Now, when we look at a level 4 leader, it's a leader who's acquired knowledge and has an understanding and is clear about their priorities, but they may not have a clear purpose. And so that's really what's going to separate them. And you're going to see those level 4 leaders maybe going from job to job to job because when it comes time for them to develop that purpose, they leave. When things get too challenging, they leave. Now you have your level 5 leader, which we affectionately call the expert. They know how to do everything. They know how to run teams. They know how to achieve results. But now the question becomes, is there something more? And they really want to get more clarity on their purpose. And so once they have a clear sense of their purpose, they start building a vision. They start going after goals that are not just professional, but personal as well. We really see them starting to say, oh, I'm a part of something much greater than myself. And so that's when you see them really become that servant leader, invest in their lives into the lives of others. And then, as I've already said about the servant leader reproducer, if we look at the level of impact, starting from levels 1 through 3, there's almost no impact. You start having some impact as a level 4 leader, even more so as a level 4, just because now you're working more with teams. You're in that core leadership role, really. And but we can see that level of impact as it jumps from 5 to 6, and as it jumps from 6 to 7. So when we look ultimately at what are the characteristics of level 7 leader, they have it's somebody that has a core value system. They have a great strategic vision, great resolve. They're an excellent educator, lifelong learner, but they're also defining their values. They have an established vision. They're using their weekly plan, not just for themselves, but to achieve their goals for other folks. They're also developing their conflict management style, their negotiation capability, their ability to delegate. So this way they can spend their time in the most impactful way that they can. But all the while, as we're learning and we're growing, we're also learning how to pass that information on to those that are coming up behind us, that next generation of leadership. And so we, as that level 6 leader, we really start looking at what is our people impact plan? How many people are we going to affect, not just in our business, but their families, our communities, other businesses, other industries? How far is my impact going to go? And so that ultimately helps to feed your servant leader reproducer plan. How can I create more servant leaders so this way we have that exponential growth that we were talking about earlier? So when we look at going up the levels, like I said, from levels 1 through 3, we're really focusing on those core areas core areas of need for ourselves. That level 4, we're going to see them start developing that purpose, and level 5 leaders are have clarity and have a fully defined purpose, moving them over here to the level 6 and 7. Now, what you'll notice here at the bottom of our model is that there's a range. What we do is we help through a leadership assessment, and we calculate where you're at based on points. And so those points tell us where you're at in your leadership journey, and what we need to go, what we need to do, and where we need to go to be able to get you to that next level. It helps us to define that clearer roadmap that we've been talking about. So with that being said, are there any questions?
I don't have a
Thank you
question.
so much, Gordon. I'm sure we've got some people that have questions. If you want to stop sharing your screen, I'll pre everybody up so everybody can see each other.
So I don't
discussion.
I don't have a question, Gordon, but I do have a comment. And I do want to applaud you for focusing on the self-leadership. I can't tell you how many people do not understand that leadership starts with themselves. I run into that problem all the time. And so I just want to applaud you for making that so clear. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. And it wasn't clear to me either when I first started with US Leadership. And then as I learned about how to really define my purpose, my vision, my life's taken on a whole new shape. And Christine's been with me on a lot of other projects that I'm working on. And so, but I'm making meaningful progress because I know how to manage my time. I know how to manage my resources, which isn't just the skills I bring, but the skills of everybody else that I'm working with together.
Awesome.
Well, and I like the way you point out how understanding what our values are, what's our purpose, and then being able to make everything else line up with that, right? Because we can get distracted so easily, right? Whether it's our personal lives or our business, really. And you can take this and apply it to both, really.
Oh, absolutely. So like when we're looking at actually achieving our results, it starts with ourselves. What are we doing to be able to provide that clarity to others? If people aren't meeting the mark, it's most likely because they're not receiving the adequate guidance that they need to really be able to thrive in their position. And so that kind of comes back to that discussion of the processes and the information flow. How are each one of these segments working together to develop that system that is going to allow our company to achieve those sustainable levels of results and ultimately grow the company?
Well, it's really the difference between a determined specific and a wandering generality. You know, the wandering generality is the Tasmanian devil. He's going 100 million miles an hour in a bunch of different directions, but you know, he's moving fast. He just doesn't know where he's going. Right. And so, you know, I take that as that determined specific. You know, have your own core values in place, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, and then move forward with that. I mean, again, if you can't work on yourself, you can't help others.
Gordon, is this a program? Is this a program that your company offers?
Absolutely. We've been doing this for over 40 years, Christy. We've worked with over 500 companies. And Andy White is actually in this meeting today. He's the founder of US Leadership and an excellent mentor. I've learned so much from him over almost this last year. Oh my God. When you think about it, it's like time flies. I just started with them this last February. And it's been an excellent opportunity. He's been an excellent mentor, helping me to take my skill set from the military and everything that I've kind of collected over my life and bring it into business. So I'm very fortunate to have somebody like him in my life.
I'd like to emphasize also, I mean, it's something I've battled with throughout my life with the military and leadership, is the misconception that you lead from the front. This kind of supports it, where you lead from the middle is where you lead from. In the middle, you can see all your forces, all your people. You know which ones need support, so you can push them forward. You know which ones need help. You can pull them from the rear. You find the one who's best for the flanks, and you put them over there. You miss all that unless you're in the middle. And I think as a key leader and owner of a business, you got to be able to see that from the middle. You still lead by example. I get that, but knowing who your powers are and who your best people are, and learning them can only be done from that center viewpoint, if you will, of your whole company.
Oh, and Jamie, you brought up an excellent point. Like, again, in a military context, would you put your convoy commander in the first vehicle? Probably not the best place to put him. But ethically, but when you're looking at reflecting, reflecting on your values and who you are as a leader, leadership does happen from the front because we have to give that example for others to follow us. Because if we look behind us and nobody's following us, guess what? We're just out for a walk by ourselves, right? But when you're talking team. About that, but like you said, though, being an integrated leader right there in the middle, to where you have a high level of accessibility, you're approachable, you're able to communicate, and you're communicating with the right people. If you need to have that conversation with the person that's carrying out the task, why is that conversation happening? Don't they have a manager? Do they have a leader that they report to? Are you using that chain of command effectively?
And you brought up the idea of building leaders beneath you, right? And pulling them up, because then you've got more strong leaders to help take it. And I'd like to point out that Christy's been doing a great job with that with the chamber, right? Bringing more people into that leadership role so we can build more strong leaders to help, a larger, right? If she had to do it all by herself, my goodness, how overwhelming, right? But since she's working to pull everybody up with her and teaching through everything she's been doing with GU, same kind of thing. It's helping everybody grow stronger.
Oh, absolutely. One thing that my dad taught me as I was coming up in the Army was you'll always learn more from the people below you than you ever will the people above you. And that's very true, because the people that you're bringing into your team, they don't have a whole lot of preconceived notions. They don't have they're not as jaded. We'll just come out and say it. And they have innovative ideas. They want to try something new, but providing that culture of excellence that allows them to bring those new ideas forward, be able to try something and break it. That's really what creates an excellent environment where somebody says, I'm not going to work. I'm going to make a difference. And that's really what a culture of excellence and bringing the 7 areas of excellence together helps to provide.
That was a really
Gordon, I really
good
appreciate
point.
the speech today. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I just wanted to say
so
that
much for
we were
joining
just
us
doing
today.
training.
Bob, go
Yeah,
ahead.
we were just doing training the other day on we were just doing training the other day on updating our business plans for 2023 and helping our newer advisors with the vision statements and purpose statements. And my purpose statement has been very helpful to me because it not only helps me where I spend my time, but where I don't spend my time and things like that. So I make sure I share that with my clients and prospects, and it helps me right away know if it's a good fit, if we're going to work together, or if not, so I don't waste my time pursuing something that's not good business.
Absolutely. Managing your yeses and nos, that's what we say. But make sure that you reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you more about what you're doing with your team and see if there's anything I can do to help.
So one of the things that we started about a few weeks ago was the newsletter from the President's office. And there are links for our members to take that purpose test, the passion, the values, and a few other goodies. So if you have received, it should be coming out every 2 weeks, I believe. There's links for you to take those assessments. And we're going to be putting it all together so that you can understand it. But you first have to go take those assessments, right? So that we can build it up, and they're being sent in order. So Gordon, I would love to collaborate with you because I cannot do everything that I want to do, right? I have all these ideas, but I do need leaders to step up and be committed to impact our community. The whole purpose for the chamber was to help every business owner, whether veteran or Patriot supporter that wanted to stay in business during 2020, how to do it, find a community, find a tribe, find that support that we all needed when the world was so uncertain. And so therefore the chamber. And now I still see the need for those steps, those processes, right? Because we don't know what's going to happen in the near future. And not to get political, but if you have been following the news, there are certain powers to be outside of the United States that are trying to bring the United States down. And not that we're going to get bombed or, we're going to have an invasion, but it's a different monetary invasion, right? Taking the dollar down. So in the next 2 to 3 years, our dollar is probably going to drop. So how do you plan to survive during that time? If you don't create value, if you don't create loyalty, if you don't create leadership, is your business going to survive? And that's my focus. I believe in God, and I know that no matter what, God will provide, right? But I also have to be proactive. It's not like I'm going to sit here and poof, my life is going to be
We have to
great,
do the
right?
hard work.
Yes. So you have to get up and you have to do the work, right? So we're putting a lot of those things in place for the chamber to do that for those that want to take advantage, right? So the information is there, the help is there. So it's up to you to click on those links and do those assessments and get ready, right? To create that value, that leadership. And if your customers know where your heart is, which is of a certain servant leader, you're going to create loyal followers, loyal clients that will refer to you and that will keep coming back and use your services no matter what the economy is doing, right? So that's my vision for the chamber. That's what I've been focusing. And because of that, I've actually increased our helpers, right? Because I was like, okay, I can't do it. Everything that I want to do, I can't do by myself. And I heard somebody say one time that the team is not an I will do this. Team has an E, and that is an E for everyone. All right, I'm off my soapbox.
Well, the other part is there's no I in team, but there's an ME.
Yes.
Yeah. The one quote that I wanted to share for our group is that when we think about impact and we think about the lasting effect of what we're going to do, I think of Captain Nathan Hale when he said, "I only regret that I have one life to lose for my country." And when we think about the level of conviction and passion that we need to have in our businesses, we only have one life. This is our business. This is our legacy that we're building, but it's also about building the community around us. So while we're out doing whatever activity it is that we're doing, we have to be mindful of this could possibly change the landscape of the future, and I won't even be around to see it. So let's make every day purposeful. And one other quote I wanted to share is in how we're bringing up that next generation of leadership is that regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys. Look onto them as beloved sons, and they will stand by you even until death. And that was from Sun Tzu. If we're building that team, that next generation of leaders, and it's not so much that we can't do everything, it's that we want our organization to go past where we are and be standing here long after we're gone from this earth, and still providing that impact, still providing that legacy.
That's right. That's a beautiful quote. If you can put it in the chat, I think we're going to adopt that quote for the chamber. I loved it. If you need to leave, just know that we wish you a great weekend and safe weekend. Be safe trick-or-treating.
Right. And remember, we have a
absolutely.
lot of events coming up this next week. So Gordon, if you don't mind sticking around to answer any more questions just a little bit, we're going to do a little housekeeping real quick. Just a reminder, coming up on the end of the month, you mentioned trick-or-treating, yay, chocolate. Besides that, we have some events going on at the beginning of next week. Lloyd, are you still in here or did he? There you are. Lloyd, you've got an event, what, next Wednesday?
That is correct. And I've been posting that out. I know you've seen that, but it's the McKinney City Circle at Delaney's Irish Pub in McKinney. That's on the northeast corner of Ridge and El Dorado, 5:30 to 7. Please bring your cards, come and expand your sphere, expand your network. That's how you grow your business. So I'll put the flyer in here as well.
And then next Thursday, the very next evening, we've got the chamber orientation. So if you know anybody that's been thinking about joining the chamber, you've talked to them about it and they have questions, send them over our way for the orientation meeting so we can answer all those questions and tell them how wonderful we are and that they should come play with us. So that's going to be next Thursday evening. Once again, all that's going to be in the newsletter. So make sure you are opening the newsletter and paying attention to what we've got in there. We've got wonderful information in there. And other events we have coming up. Christine, you've got something coming up this next month, right?
Yes, on the 8th at 11, we meet at Prairie House Restaurant in Crossroads for our Crossroads City Circle at 11 a.m. So join us. It's always a really great time.
It is. I will speak from experience. Love that little group. All our groups are fantastic. Don't miss any of them if you can. And then in the evening on the second Tuesday of the month, we have Carrollton. I see Alex has disappeared on us, but normally.
Right. Yeah, it's on Tuesday evenings at 5:30 at, is it Barrel and Bones or Bones and Barrel? One of those. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
That's a good one. And then we've got business and bullets.
Yep.
So
third
that's
Wednesday of the month. And then the third Tuesday of the month, we have the meeting with Paul Hendricks. So
that's
Plano.
That's not going to be on the third Tuesday. That's going to be on the 8th. Sorry, Lloyd. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
You said it. You said
Okay,
it.
so on the 8th of November.
And that's going to
normally it's the third Tuesday though.
and that's going to be connected with our Plano Chamber of Commerce, the flags of honor. And so what I'll do, I got a flyer. I will get that to Christine so that you can put that in some of our well, we'll get it on Facebook and we'll get it out there so everybody can see it. It's going to be a spectacular event if everybody can join us on the 8th for around lunchtime. And you get free food too. So how many veterans don't want free food?
Right. Oh, that reminds me, I put a PDF in the chat. Don't forget to save your chat and download that. Is the new pay scale will take effect December 1st. So you should, yeah, I think they said it was December 1st. It's a new, the new pay scale. We're actually getting a raise after like 7 years of not having a disability cost of living adjustment finally came out. So either it will be affected the 1st of December or the 1st of January. But regardless, you have a new pay scale. So make sure that you download that sheet and we'll put it in the newsletter as well.
It's 1st of January.
1st of January. Okay.
I think it will be reflected in December though. That's what I heard. But it's for 2023.
And it also says that on the VA website.
Yes. All right.
Awesome. Okay.
Well,
Any
thank
other
you so
announcements?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an announcement if I may make it.
Absolutely, Ron.
I have coming up on November the 12th, my annual piano recital where you'll be able to come out and see some of the most talented from age 5. And I always say this to age, I don't know how old my oldest students are because I'm afraid to ask them because they're women and they may want to whoop me, so I don't ask. But if you want to advertise your business, I have some very influential parents like former Dallas Cowboys and business executive children that I teach. So if you want those people to see you over and over, because their children will be in the book, I think it's called a pay bill, but they will all be in there. And of course, the parents will keep that. So when people come to their homes, they'll be able to see that booklet. So if you want to if you want an ad that will go to some of these people, then just reach out to me. Actually, the deadline is this weekend. So reach out to me soon. I did one for the chamber. So it will be there. I think I'm gonna put it on the front inside cover. So our chamber logo and information will be there as well.
Yes, so I wanted to thank Ron for paying for that ad on behalf of the chamber. Thank you so much for doing that.
Hey, Ron, how much does that ad cost?
You're welcome.
How much does that ad cost?
The full page is only $100. A half a page is $50, and a quarter page is $25.
Okay, well, I'd like to do one for U.S. leadership in there. So I'll make sure that I get your contact information from Christine so we can make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Ron, I'm going to reach out to you today. I want to talk to you about that.
Okay, sounds great, Lee.
And we didn't get to hear from Joel this morning. Brother Batowski, do you have any Friday morning wisdom for us to take with us?
Not really, but my only comment was, did you change the logo to get into the site?
No, our website is down right now. It was up yesterday because I was in there. I don't know what happened to the website. So after this meeting, I'll be taking care of that. But no, I did not change.
Well, it was confusing last weekend. I mean, last Friday, I had problems getting in, and then this Friday, I had problems getting in.
Wait, so
it was.
And we're glad you made it.
Joel,
Yeah.
can't you take a hint? We're trying to get rid of you.
But I mean,
I love the veteran bonding experience. I'm just saying, you guys are so bad.